Hello and what is up, YouTube? It is G3 Iron, balding, bearded, back and beautiful, and we're doing a little bit of a throwback today to what we used to do here on the channel, which made the channel what it was, what it is, the way it made what the Discord what it is and what it was, and made the G3 Guild what it was and what it is, and that is primarily discussing hot topics that are going around in the broader Path of Exile community. And today, the broader discussion is one that we had a little bit over the course of the weekend while I was streaming the league start, and has come up from time to time since the announcement of the Keepers League. And sure enough, the topic is offline trading pay to win? That's the topic, and this is a relatively active thread at the moment over on the official Path of Exile forum threads. And here's simply the post: is offline trading pay to win? And I'd love to hear your comments and your thoughts down below. Just wondering if this leaves a bad taste for anyone else. I already bought tons of premium tabs and will probably go back to SSF next league, so I have no interest in buying merchant tabs, but I was excited to try trade for the first time in years. It was obviously a bit disappointing to see that I can't use it. This seems a bit unethical to me. I am interested in the opinions of trade players. Now, there's a couple of things to note here. Yes, you still can use the async trade and the offline trading options to purchase items from other players, even if you have not purchased the in-game merchant tab. You can still buy things via instant trade out or instant buyout from other players' merchant tabs. You can still travel to somebody else's hideout, interact with their Faustus, buy what's listed there. So the statement that you can't interact, that you can't engage in offline trading unless you purchase the tabs, that's just not true. You can purchase items from other players, but you can't list your items offline. And so I think while that might sound a little nitpicky, I do want to point that out. And by the way, I'm already on the record in a video that I've already released here this league stating I think it is quite a bit pay to win, but we're going to get more into that here in just a minute. But as is classically stated, I usually save my opinion for the end. So we're going to continue through. I've got a couple of posts here to highlight here. So, posted by Sarno in a response, says, the implementation of the new trade system doesn't change my opinion of POE's monetization. Shades of gray tend to be rather subjective, and I'd rather be nonplussed by anyone who claims the game is pay to win now, but hadn't been before. I'm sure there are those, like streamers, who have gone pretty far in the game without buying any tabs, but those tend to be above average players, to put it mildly. And secondly, if people view doing so as a challenge, then that kind of says it all. And I would agree to a certain extent that it is pretty well known inside the PoE community at large that not playing with stash tabs, with purchasable stash tabs, is seen as a challenge. That's a thing. That's like an intentional self-nerfing, self-limiting aspect of how you're interacting with Path of Exile, whether you're playing solo self-found or trade. Like, just the level of organization that's available to you once you start putting money into the game it is quite a bit. But some of this as a discussion topic as a whole feels awkward because the game is free to play, and so one of the ways that you support the game is through the purchase of these sorts of stash tabs. It's one of the only effective, actually in-game changes that you can make. The vast majority of other purchases that you can make inside Path of Exile are cosmetic. The things that really change your experience effectually in an efficiency manner in Path of Exile is all related pretty much to your stash, not necessarily to your character power. But being an action RPG where items are character power and are directly related to player power, the more efficient you are with your stash, the more efficient your character is, the more powerful your character is. So it's an interesting discussion from that angle. Trixar says, well, first off, it's only like 30 coins, which, by the way, that's what it is when it's on sale. Off of sale, it's 40 coins. So still not a huge amount difference, but at least over the opening weekend, it looked like the merchant tabs were 30 coins each for one tab. Which is like 30 cents. It's inaccurate. I don't know what 30 coins is as it converts to your country's currency, but it's more than 30 cents, at least here in the United States. If you ever found a quarter on the ground or in a vending machine, then that's basically all you need, says Trixar. The second point is you can still do the old trade, trading person to person online, and it saves people gold when you do it. So, that's Trixar's opinion. Here's Fap Mobile, who says no in response to is offline trading pay to win. No, you are not winning anything when you trade. And this is where I want to get into more of this discussion here with Hagaru. I wouldn't exactly say it's pay to win, more like pay to play. The game becomes increasingly difficult to play the further you get without buying more tabs. You become very burdened and waste tons of time and can't function with all the content without the extra space, even using a bunch of character slots for more storage. The game is designed to overwhelm you with items and to make it difficult to play without buying the custom tabs. You're not really playing the full game without buying some of them. Paying more doesn't make you win, but you can't win without paying because you can't compete when you're effectively massively gimped. You can't save up items or currency because it all takes up a lot of space and more time to manage it all, and you have to toss everything that isn't strictly useful for your one character. It limits your mapping and content strategies. And buying the various tab types is not cheap. You're paying for a full game and then some, but you don't get to own the game at all as they'll never actually sell the game. And they can break things at any time with updates, and there's nothing you can do about it. POE is a fun game to play, but the money and control model is quite unfriendly and anti-ownership, and you get disrupted every content update. They've been doing it for over a decade, and it's quite unlikely they'll ever actually release the game or change their ways, as this model works for their purpose. This is what Mithrandir, which what a great play on Gandalf's name this is. But anyway, the cost of playing for which there is always an option not to, therefore no need to be disgruntled. Now, here's where it's going to take a little bit of a twist. Astasia says, it's not pay to win because the only instances where you can win anything happen in solo self-found. Trade leagues essentially do not matter. If you want to trade and cheat your way out of the item hunt game, it only affects you. How much are you willing to pay for the convenience of not playing the game yourself to find things in a loot-based game, a looter? Do the people not trading care about what you're doing? No. It is, however, obnoxious they make you pay some amount to even engage with the new system. They certainly should have given everyone one free merchant tab. It's just an example of greed, though, that they didn't. That's a really interesting concept, and I really like that Astasia says that. Hey, what if everybody had half of a tab or had a single tab that was available to them just for testing purposes, just to get more people using it? As with many things, once folks get a taste for something, then I could actually see the argument going, well, they gave everybody a little tiny bit of something very addictive, and now a whole bunch of people are going to go out and buy it because they got a taste of it. So it's kind of an interesting aspect of the ethics of the sales of these tabs, because if you give everybody a tab and then everybody goes, okay, I have to use this and I need more space for the tabs, is that actually more of a pay-to-win thing than just going, we're not going to give it away? If you want to engage in supporting the game financially, then you can do so. But it's kind of an interesting thing. Maybe that's a razor that not everybody in the comments is going to see, but that's at least one that I see. If you don't give everybody a tab, then you're saying only the people who are paying for this are going to experience it, and they already have the means to experience it. Whereas once you give every single player a free-to-play, async, offline trade tab, it then potentially opens up the idea that there are players who are playing the game for free who have chosen not to engage in that paying system, but now they have that available to them. So it's a little interesting. It'd be almost like everyone's character is forced. This is a terrible analogy, and it'll break down, and you'll all see how it breaks down in a minute. But it'd be a little bit like if everybody was like when you league started as solo self-found, and you were in that league until you made your first trade. And then everything just became trade league. Like your character migrated upon your first trade. It's like, well, I wanted to play trade league. I didn't want to be in solo self-found. How can I find my friends? There's all sorts of ways that the analogy breaks down. But it sort of forces players into a choice that players maybe didn't realize that they were making. And so the players not realizing, hey, there's going to be this async buying and selling thing that is then potentially going to allow for more space, for more pay to win if everybody's got access to it. It's just interesting. There's a layer to that. I don't think I'm articulating it in the best way, but hopefully one of you can help clarify that down below in the comments. STKMRO says, you don't need trading to win the game. I will consider offline trading as pay for convenience instead of pay to win. And that's what a lot of this discussion comes down to. What is winning in Path of Exile, by the way? For me, for the last decade playing Path of Exile, I've said to you all as a community, if you are having fun, and let me underscore this again for this league, I am having a blast. This is the most fun I've had playing Path of Exile probably since 2020. This league has been insane, and this league start has been insane. This is incredible. The league is great. I would instantly already over opening weekend only put it second behind Synthesis, which is my favorite league of all time. Like, besides Synthesis, this has been my favorite league already. For crafting, for engagement, for different opportunities, for bosses, for all sorts of different things. It's incredibly fun. But all that being said, I don't think you're winning or losing at Path of Exile unless you're involved in a race scenario or you're just trying to have fun. And that's really the only two ways that you can win in Path of Exile, is if you're in a race scenario, which at the moment there's no race scenarios going on for the vast majority of us. And secondly, we're all just trying to have fun, and if you're not having fun, then you are losing, no matter how much money you do or don't put into the game. So, that being said, let's come down here to this last comment that I'm going to share, these last two comments from XC and from Pat W. The way I would put it, says XC, POE is a game where the drops are balanced around the existence of trade. If you don't trade, you will experience a harder time. Those of you who have played Solo Self-Found after migrating from trade, you know what that's like. As for the question of pay to win, the most commonly accepted definition of pay to win is based on the question: can you buy anything officially from the game with real money that can give you an advantage over a player who doesn't? Stash tabs make trade easy, make organization easy, and it saves a huge amount of time and effort. A lot of people downplay how much time and effort is saved. Suffice to say, it's a lot over time. A good example is the currency tab. I can easily control-click all my currency and it will go into my currency tab. All the currency goes into a specific dedicated slot, and I can tell how many I have just by glancing. The exact number I have is displayed for me. If a player doesn't have it, their currency will be all over the place, even if there is a feature where currency is arranged into neat rows. As a free-to-play player, it would still require you to do a whole lot of math, to count each stack that you have and then multiply by the max amount of stats. Suffice to say, the game, and this particular decision, is pay to win. A lot of GGG defenders say it's a pay to play feature. To me, I find that to be copium. They cannot accept that it is pay to win. I would agree partially where players are expected to get them if they intend to play the game long term. Most of the purchasable stashes are too good not to play without. But regardless, it fits pay to win definition no matter how you want to use it. To use mental gymnastics to call it otherwise the cost of playing pay to play. Now, I'm actually with XC on this. I do think that it's pay to win. And I'm having fun partially through trading. You all who have been here for years know that I love to trade in Path of Exile. Not only do I love to build my character, that's the primary kick that I get out of Path of Exile, is building out a character. The second kick that I get out of Path of Exile is interacting with the economy. Those two things. And when one of those two things goes away, I generally stop playing the League and generally stop playing Path of Exile. So there's an economic factor and there's a character development side and a character progression side. Once one or two of those things are gone, that's usually when I call it quits, right? Well, for me, having that buy tab and sell tab, like, it is a huge dopamine hit every time you log in that you just go, hey, there's new currency that's waiting for me there. All throughout today, as I've been playing and doing AFK blight maps and taking down bosses and fighting on all sorts of stuff, if you're in the lab, you don't have to leave the lab. If you put something in your stash tab, it sells, even when you're online. If you're offline, I was raking leaves over the weekend because it's the fall and there's a lot of leaves here in Michigan. Well, guess what? I was raking leaves and stuff that I had listed on my merchant tab when I came back in sold. It's incredible. That's fun for me. Now, am I going to say that's not a competitive advantage in an economic sense? No, in an economic sense, it is a competitive advantage versus other players who aren't making that same amount of currency. It gives me more currency to play with when I actually do get back online. So I'm more than happy to say there is some level of pay to win to this. So please don't say, oh, you're just a shill and you're defending in the copium. I'm with XC on this. If you're saying it's not pay to win, I think you've actually got some onus to try and prove that in some meaningful way. Okay, here's Pat. This is the last one for today. It's $3 to be able to sell with async trade. That's, again, in whatever region Pat is in. You can buy without paying anything. I think it's worth to have that as a hurdle to bots participating in trading honestly. I think it's an incredible stretch to try and paint this as a meaningful pay-to-win element. A key part of pay-to-win tends to be that you can pay more to win more. I've really found no meaningful benefit to having a ton of merchant tabs. One or two is just fine. If you fill up more than that, it's because stuff isn't selling, meaning you are either trying to sell garbage or you don't know how to set prices. I think that's a great point. honestly, anyone that does try and make this a huge deal or act like it's just as pay to win as something like a Korean MMO is just flagging themselves as someone that shouldn't be taken seriously. I think that the existing stash tab system is far more pay to win than these merchant tabs, and overall, I don't find any element of Path of Exile truly pay to win in a distasteful way, even given, and especially given, its free price tag. I do think the cosmetic prices are absurd, though. That's a great final comment. Anyway, that's lots of comments on a pretty hot button topic, if I do say so myself, right? Like, as soon as you claim a game is pay to win, as soon as a game gets labeled pay to win, that can be, in some scenarios, the death knell of a whole segment of a community playing. And so, at least for me, I'm fine saying there are aspects of pay to play and pay to support and even pay to win for Path of Exile. It's been that way for a long time through the stash tab system. It's been that way through the supporter system for a long time. Again, if winning is categorized as having fun, a whole lot of players, because of the amount of money that they've given in support to Path of Exile over the years, have gotten to design uniques and design in-game items like divination cards and all sorts of other things. Like, that's pretty fun. That's winning, right? Why is it that they get to do that and you and I necessarily don't? Well, it's because of the amount of the money that they've put behind to support the company. And so it's like, is that pay to win? Well, it's not pay to win in that it's improving their characters, but they actually are having a significant impact in the game by actually itemizing and shaping the way how some items will be in the game. So it's really interesting. I think that's cool. I think that's an interactive aspect of Grinding Gear Games, interacting with the supporters who help support the game. I think it's a way to encourage supporters to support the game. And I think it's rewarding, right? I think the support that you give to the game should be rewarded in some way. And the developers who are working to make a rewarding game that we enjoy playing should also be rewarded. Like, they should be paid and compensated as well for their time and for their efforts and for their creative energies. So I see this as an excellent trade and an excellent ebb and flow. That's just my opinion. I'd love to hear yours down below in the comments. It is so great to be back, to be bearded, to be balding, to be beautiful. I'm so glad for the Keepers League. I'm so thankful for it. I'm going to be making videos all the time this league, hopefully here as time allows. I'm just stoked. Good POE is back, and long may it continue. I look forward to reading your comments down below, and if you haven't liked and subscribed, of course, then you can do so. And in between now and the next video, I hope a Mirror of Calandra does drop for you.
Thanks for watching that video. If you'd like more information on any of our discussion points today, you can see them down below in the video description. If you'd also like to join our Discord or support our Patreon, you can do so with the links down below. Thanks again, and big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters.